Leadership Q&A. I'm Chris Klingbeil from Touchdown Executive Search. And this week we get to talk to Lauren Fildes, who's a marketing director at Mondelez International and someone who Amanda Banfield has mentored for many years, who we spoke to last week. So welcome to Lauren.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me. It's wonderful.
Thanks for joining us. I'd love to ask you the same questions that I asked Amanda and get your perspective. Can I just begin with asking you, what are the key advantages to establishing and nurturing a mentoring partnership?
Yeah, I mean, just on the offset, I think having a mentoring relationship is really one of the best development opportunities that you can have. I think for me, it's really about getting exposure to different ideas and different ways of thinking that stretch your development. And it's certainly been something that's been super positive for me over many years working with Amanda. Also, I think that the second thing is really about being able to navigate the organization. I think having someone like Amanda, she obviously understands internally but externally, and has very key relationships. So you're able to get awareness and visibility with, I think, key people and stakeholders that you wouldn't normally have been able to communicate with or form a relationship with. So yeah, it has been very beneficial to myself, I think, over the last couple of years.
That's great. And can you kind of dive into your own personal experience and give us an example of how mentoring has enriched your life and perhaps your career as well?
Yeah, I mean, definitely from a career perspective, I think there's been many, highlights over the time working with Amanda and obviously having a mentor relationship. One's really been quite pertinent to I think how I operate today and really have a look at how I tackle strategy and things like that. About 18 months ago, I was working on a supply solution for one of our categories, and I'd worked through kind of recommendations and was set to kind of present to the organization. And when we had a catch up, I was just talking through kind of my recommendations and ideas and how it kind of would fly within kind of the key stakeholders that we would present to. And she took a step back and said to me, really, have you thought about the wider implications than just what your function or the impacts you will have on the business? You know, she raised things like external affairs, what your decisions would have impact on kind of government, as well as other kind of organizations or sub-organizations within Mondelez. And for me, one of the development opportunities or developments that we were working on was kind of take a step back, go slow so you can go fast. And it kind of really was quite pronounced at the time. And now when I'm working on big strategy projects, what I do is put myself in Amanda's shoes, and it's something that's worked well for me. How would she tackle a problem? How would she tackle a task in regards to the level of, I suppose, stakeholders that she has ability to influence? So it's made me have a think about what do my thoughts and implications have on external affairs and other kind of key employees within your organization. And I think for me, it's allowed me to think bigger. Think bigger and have a bigger understanding of how your actions kind of enrich different parts of the organization. So I do take that with me on big strategies, which has been obviously better for my development and enriches the decision at the end of the day. So it's been, that's a highlight.
That's great. Amanda and I talked about it last week, having that ability to almost fast track your experience by having somebody who's been there and done that.
Cool, isn't it? Oh, I completely agree. And just a different way of thinking. I think you can get kind of very into, right, I want the outcome and I kind of know what I want the outcome to be, but it enables you to kind of think and say, oh God, I didn't think of it that way. And there's a lot of benefit and positivity that comes to that. So yeah, it's been good to imagine myself in different people's shoes to get a better outcome.
That's great. And do you think that I mean, we have this chain of three people that have all been mentored or menteed.
Yeah.
You're the one of the three that's actually been both. Does Amanda's mentoring of you then
Oh,
impact your?
absolutely. Yeah, I think it's quite a powerful thing because it enables you to maybe restructure questions in a different way. It helps in your development in regards to not telling the person the answer, but giving them a different way of thinking, and using all kind of the coaching opportunities, and questioning techniques to do that. And I think what's also powerful is that you've seen a shift in yourself, but then you're able to also help someone else see that shift. And it's that great kind of synergy of when you see someone say, of course, or oh, yes, or then use whatever you've suggested in the work, and for them to come back to you and say, hey, I tried this, it didn't work, I didn't like it, or it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's a great outcome. And I know that you'll be speaking to Albertus, but that's certainly, for me, it's a real, it's enriched kind of the working relationship that I've certainly have with Albertus as well.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And in terms of establishing a relationship, how do you go about it? Do you choose somebody internally in your organization? Do you have people that are external to
Yeah, I've got a couple actually. Obviously, Amanda, who was internal. And for me, I think it's really easy to go with a mentor that's similar to yourself, because you're going to hit it off straight away and you share the same ideals, and your development is the same. But for me, what's the point in that? You can have a relationship that might not be a mentoring relationship. You want to be able to have I suppose, a relationship that is able to fill your development areas, and able to challenge you in the right way, I think is so. Choosing someone like yourself, for me, isn't of benefit as much as being able to really think about where are the opportunities that I need to develop in, and who is the strongest at being able to do that for me.
Yeah.
Of course, having someone that you click with is important, because the relationship won't go any further, I think, if you're not gelling. But someone that really bridges that gap, and I think, to Amanda's point, fast tracks your development, it is super important. So that's what I try to look for. I think it's important to have someone internally, because they understand the ins and outs of the organization, the pressure points, the challenges, the positives that you can work through. But I think externally, I've worked with a man, and I absolutely respect him fully, a coach that's kind of really worked on the side of, he talks a lot about the heart, the hands, and where your development areas are, and how you kind of work through the head, the heart, and the hands, and push you in different ways. I think it's also good to have someone that doesn't know the organization, so they don't have they don't know the organization, so they're able to bring different points of view. So for me, it's been really vital to have that internal and external focus.
And that's a great point. And for what it's worth, my key mentor is almost the opposite to me in style, in how he thinks, that sort of thing. And he's been my mentor for 20 years now. And it's amazing how he's helped me fill gaps, because he just thinks differently.
That's right. And I think gaps that you might not have even seen, or you might have even not realized. And I think that is also important as well. And having a relationship, I think one of the positives is being able to form a personal relationship. So you've got some sort of connection, that you don't just go straight from a kind of business tactical, because I don't think that's going to work. But also, if you've got that personal respect, I think, then you're able to take on the feedback, and then I think that's very important, that you can take on feedback and be able to then say, whether it's a kind of positive feedback or not, but you can put things in place that enable you to take that on, and it comes from positive intent. So I think that's very important.
That's great insight, Lauren. Thank you so much.
No
As
problems.
you mentioned, next week we are going to meet with Albertus Lombard,
Yeah.
Senior Marketing Manager at Mondelez, and somebody that Lauren has mentored for some time as well. So thank you all for your time. Great numbers in Melbourne today. So stay safe.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris.
No
See you
problem.
later.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.